with
Guess
Hatty
who's
Preston.
here?
Hi,
Hatty
lads.
Preston.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
You're so welcome. You got me a decaf cappuccino or do anything.
That's what we pay
Yeah,
here at the
I
Craic
know.
Den.
And it's worth it.
Cappuccinos.
You
Yeah.
want
It's
coffee,
delicious.
caffeine or no?
Yeah.
we can do that at least. Or beer. We got beer. That's our sponsor. Beer. Do you want a can of beer after that?
Just
Looks like one of the most delicious beers
It
I've
was
ever
probably
seen.
one of the most delicious
Done
beers I've ever
right.
seen, but I'm really happy on this guy.
All right,
Yeah.
after the gig. We're filming this
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
room before the gig.
Yeah. And then we've got 3 tonight, is that right?
3 tonight.
Saturdays are mental. We record podcast around now, and then we go into 3 shows. And
I find it's
weird.
funny being a comic because like we'll do nothing ever and
Right.
then everything at once, and it's you might be traveling and it's
Yeah.
sitting around during the day, and then gig, run,
And
run,
it's the
run.
wrong way round. So like all your friends are like, oh, it's Friday. And you're like, oh, what?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh God, bring on Monday.
Yeah, I know,
you know, and it's just the I mean, it's obvious, but it's the fucking most antisocial thing in the whole world that we do. Like,
You ask a lot of your friends, don't you? Because you're
Mm.
like, can you hang out with me on Mondays? Is that okay?
Yeah.
The night you don't want to hang out with anyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's,
How
that's
you-
my night with you.
yeah,
okay?
you feeling japesy on a Monday at 5 p.m. because that would be incredible. Yeah.
You're still drunk in the morning of a Monday. They're all going to work. You're like, we're just getting started, guys.
But that's why I don't understand. Like, because you guys are both in relationships, yes.
Mm.
Like, how do your other halves like? Do they have normal jobs, or are they like? Do they like in hospitality or?
My one has a normal job. She's a vet, and we see each other once a month. and
That's
it
what.
works.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing that
Yeah.
you all keep it up because I don't know how you.
Yeah, it's like you got so many things in life. You got relationship, personal relationship,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you got friends and family,
Yeah.
and then you got stand-up comedy. Let's say, and you can't have all 4 of them.
No, you
One
can't.
of them has to be dropped.
Yeah.
I know.
It's tough going.
Yeah.
Something has to give.
And at the moment, see, we have a kid. He's 6.
Yeah.
And it's just a relay race now. He's like a
Sure.
baton, so we're
Yeah.
just a team. Like yeah,
You're
we
like,
go.
hand.
He's yours. He goes, bye.
Yeah.
See you, kid, and then you're off. And we just so
Max-
that's the
Max-
common. It was like,
Yeah.
what did Mama say last night? Like we find out
Oh,
about
yeah.
we find out about our partner through our kid.
That's so good. So you're actually like spying on each other through
Yeah, and I'm
this
like, what-
6-year-old like periscope, which I
yeah.
really
I go
like.
to Max. What does Mum want for her birthday? 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know her anymore. I never
Yeah.
see her.
What does she look like?
She wants Lego apparently. I think it's a trick.
Oh, no, that's
What did Mama
smart
say
kid.
last night? I think she said, "Where the fuck is Damo?
Yeah.
That
Where
is
the
it.
fuck is Damo?"
That is it, yeah. But then you were
God.
saying before that you're like you're single, flying around,
Yeah.
giggling around.
Yeah, but then you can't, like, this is where I get into trouble because I can't date, like, because of that. Like, I've done it before where I've been like, fuck it, I'll give over an evening. Like, you can have a, Thursday or God forbid, like a Friday. And if it's a bad date, like if you're sat there with it, like, it's not even that I would rather they were hateful. Like, I would rather they were hateful, misogynistic, like evil assholes. It's when you're sat with someone boring and you're sat there, you're like, I could be at a fucking show and I'm here because of you. And it's like the rage that builds. And so I was like, no, I'm not. So I did like, it's awful. So you find yourself, like the last day I did like midday on a Sunday. Which is when people feel so sexy.
That's when the most exciting people come out at that time.
Midday on a Sunday, like wedged between babies and puppies. be like, and you're like, but I was
Everyone
like,
else on a Sunday is
yeah.
strolling with their dog, picking up poo from in a bag.
being wholesome and being like, and I'm sitting there being like, oh God, fuck you, and not in a fun way. Like, but it's just that thing of, I'm not going to make space for someone who's probably going to be shit and let me down. And so, yeah, you're having your
You've
dates.
cost
so
me $500.
you,
boring
honestly,
batshit.
that, like,
Crazy, but
you fucking better pick up the tab because this is, sweet money that I'm not making.
You want them to be evil or crazy or something, so you get a
It's
story out
exactly
of it.
it's
At
a
least.
set. You're like, at least have something where this is worth my time being here. But it's when they're just like nothing, It's when they're nothing. That's when it starts getting
Really
panicky.
bad date. You're just thinking, this is great. This is an Edinburgh Fringe show.
For
right
sure.
here.
The first ever Hinge date, the first ever app date I went on, it was this like mind-bogglingly dull New Zealand man. I think they might all be dull. Is that a thing? Like,
No comment.
okay, but like
about New Zealand?
mind.
I've never dated any, so I don't know.
Sure. So you haven't been in that boat. I like. Just talk to me through, and his profile, he'd like trekked the Sahara and like done whitewater rapids. I was like, this guy's like lived, do you know what I mean? Like, this guy's done stuff. He's at least gonna have stories. Did he fuck? He just he just ran through like recent stag do's he'd been on, and we were like walking, so it was obviously pandemic, so that's all you were allowed to do, walking. And this homeless person ran up to me, and I knew they were homeless, and they were also like not mentally particularly well, because they were muttering, and they were running towards me, and they ran towards me and just punched me in the arm and went, pussy. and then continued running.
A sign from God.
Eddie, literally in my head, I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm
the best
here.
thing that happened on this date.
There was-
Thank you.
yeah, literally. I was like, thank you so much.
Do you want to go out?
And like the gays behind me were like, oh my God, that was so random. And I was like, is that fucking, I was like, what? And he didn't even acknowledge it. He just sort of waited for me to be sort of like over it and then continued telling his story. I was like, I think you know you're boring. You know you're boring when something insane like that happens and you can't even register it. Like, it's like literally like computer says no. Like
Did
this
he not
is
have any like protective instinct? I know it's only the first date.
Oh, he
Usually
fuck-
takes a
did
while for
he
that
fuck?
protective instinct to kick in.
not
but
one bit.
Not a bit.
He
not
was
like,
more. I think he more just wanted to get to the next part of the stag do story.
Wow.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, I don't think you're allowed to date any. I think that was my sign from God, being like, I am a pussy because I shouldn't even have got past 11 minutes on this, and here I am, and this is my karma.
You got to turn to him and goes, and he starts his story again. You go, hey, well, excuse me. At any point in the stag do, did a homeless person muttering punch you in the arm after spring towards you, call you a pussy and run off? Because if it's not better than that, your story's over.
Don't want to
bro.
hear it.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear it. And
People,
yeah.
people give out about getting catfished so they'll have like a fake photo or a dolled up photo,
Yeah.
but no one talks about catfish and someone being way more boring than their
I know.
catfish.
personality fish.
Yeah.
Fish.
What would we call that? Like,
It's a
It's-
decaf.
yeah, I guess a decaf cappuccino fish. Yeah, it's not real. I
Did you
I
find this
agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you find this with dating? Because I didn't really realise until, because I love listening, I love like, I'll interrupt obviously. But then when you watch First Dates, because I love that show, when if it's a guy and a girl on a date, the guy is just talking too much to try and impress instead of asking questions. Do you find that with dates?
Every
that-
single one.
right.
Like, I would say almost without exception that like, and I'm trying to give them benefit of the doubt, especially on the last one I was on, because he'd seen me do comedy and it was the first time ever someone slid into my DMs after a show and been like, I'd love to take you out for a drink. Never. I know you guys get it all the time, but like girls never, female comedians never get guys slipping into the DMs afterwards being like, I'd love to take you for a drink. Like, because we're a nightmare. Like, it's a nightmare. The idea of a woman being funnier than you, like, nightmare for the. So this guy did, and I was like, well, this behavior absolutely has to be rewarded. So yes, I will absolutely go for it. I couldn't really remember what he looked like, but anyway, he talks about himself solidly for 2 hours. And in my head, I was like, is it because he's seen me do my thing and he needs me to know he also has a thing? But the problem was he didn't. Like, he had none of the things. I was like, what do we do? Like, we went through how good he was at sport at school.
Living in the
That's
past,
like
man.
that's like one of the worst things to try and impress anyone is how
Anyone.
good I was in the past.
Yeah,
at
one
something
time.
that wasn't particularly
You
That
difficult.
should
we-
have seen me when I was 10.
Yeah, but
I
like-
was a beast at football.
Also, like, we all were. Do you know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah.
were all fucking crushing the athletes game at like 14. And I just remember being like, it's even if you've got here and decided I'm not that fair or I'm not that funny and you don't want to be here, whatever. As a female comedian, you've got to at least believe I've got some good stories. Like, you've got to believe anecdotally I'm bringing heat, but not a fucking
Ask
thing.
something.
Ask something.
Ask something. I was a wingman. This is to remind me of something.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Glasgow and I was a wing. My mate liked this girl and I was just a wingman. We were just out, and then the girl that wasn't going well. But then I was just talking to this girl and I just asked her like 3 questions, like, oh, where are you from? And then I asked her another question, and then I asked her another question.
Yeah.
And she was talking, and we were having a good laugh. and then when then the two of them came back and we were talking, and she goes to her mate. She goes, "This guy, this Aussie guy, he's good chat." She said I was good chat, and
3
I was
questions.
like, I asked her 3 questions,
yeah.
and we were laughing, and I was chipping in,
Yeah.
and good chat. And then that date, there was awful. And then afterwards, he went to the toilet, and she was like, "No, it's not going to work."
It is unbelievable. But I kind of am
You're a
interested
bad wingman.
I'm a bad
Too
wingman.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
no,
your, yeah.
But I
No,
thought-
but a good wingman is the dullest fucker
Yeah, the
you've ever met.
dullest.
Just like
Yeah.
boring the fuck out of them, and you sweep in. You're like,
But I thought
It's what women do to their bridesmaids on their wedding day. They make all their hot friends. They put them in such appalling dresses that they're all munters. So the bride look extra special.
can't wait.
That has to be the logic. Like, bridesmaids look too awful. That has to be the logic. So I think you
Purple,
have to, the
big
purple like
shiny shoulder.
velour.
puffy.
Yeah,
Jamie,
exactly.
you were
But
screwing your maid over that
yeah,
day.
you need to wear purple.
But
velour
it
next
wasn't
time.
until I watched First Dates. You never watch people date.
No.
I didn't know that like
Men
a lot of
really
straight
talk about
men, they
sex.
just have to impress. It's like you
What's
don't.
wrong with the male brain that they're so bad at listening, and especially in those first dates when they're.
But that's a question for you. Like, why do you think? I have no fucking idea, because I'm sitting there being like, I'd like to know more about this person because of how do you decide if you like them or not? So what is the psyche? Are they being like, are they peacocking? Is it like here's all my goddamn feathers? Like, is that what it is?
It has to be.
It has to be.
Because it has to die down after a certain point, because they'll run out of their shitty
Run out the
stag
feathers.
stories.
Yeah, you've seen them all. Yeah.
Do you know what? Watch any old couple.
Yeah.
And the guy doesn't say nothing. He's done all his talking
he
on
did
the
it.
first
Yeah, he
two
ran out of
dates.
feathers. Yeah.
Space it out, dude.
That's it, Hattie. You need to give them like 4 dates, and if by the 4th
know.
they shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
and you're having a great laugh,
I
then
know.
that's you win.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to snag them.
It's also
Got it at the
lazy.
4th
Lads, if
date.
you listen, go on a date, you're lazy. You don't have to prepare anything. Just a couple of questions.
Couple of
Just ask
and
questions.
you,
Put it
one
on them.
there's a female comedian, and I don't want to say female, there's a comedian who's female in London, and she has them back. She's like, and you, just that, just at the when you finished answering my question, be like, and you, like it's so easy. It's so easy. But yeah.
Because if you fancy someone, because when you fancy someone, you want to know all about them. You don't want to be like, me, because then you go away and go, I don't know anything about
Yeah,
this
but
person.
do you? I think when you really fancy someone, maybe what they're doing is trying to make them really fancy them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you already know you fancy a person, then maybe you are peacocking extra hard. Maybe you're
so
like
it
giving it
stems
full.
from insecurity.
Got to.
It has to, yeah.
I have to believe that, or else, because the other option is that I'm boring and they don't care. Do you know what I mean? So I have to.
And that
flip
is not
this.
an option.
It's not an option.
No. So they are. There is deep.
So they're actually
insecurity.
really insecure and intimidated. So.
But it
Then
is
you-
true. If you're really comfortable in yourself,
Yeah.
and you have a great story, you leave it at that. You're like, and you're gonna be just relaxed and zen in yourself. You feel
Yeah.
confident, and you won't feel like, oh God, I gotta tell you something else. I gotta tell you something else. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
So a bunch of losers. That's what it is.
You're so right,
That's what
guys. I'm so glad we've
losers
cracked
does.
this. It is, oh God, as she says, pissed on a decaf cappuccino. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but
Irish
Irish
lads.
decaf.
You need, have you been on dates with Irish lads?
I have how many? I've romantically been entangled with one, but no, like I'm around a lot of Irish people. Like my best mates in London are Irish, and I'm around them a lot. So like out here, I'm sort of surrounded by them all because that's where they all live, obviously. But
Ireland,
there's so many here.
all the Irish people.
I definitely went through a phase about having a like, the old like penchant for an Irish accent, but you're all such mummy's boys. Like, do you know that?
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but God, you love your mummies.
But why would we not love our mummies?
Because they're brilliant, they're perfect.
Yeah.
They're absolutely
Best
perfect. I
mummies
know.
going.
But interestingly, your mummies weren't always the nicest to you. So you've got this funny like double-edged thing where like you also quite like women who are cruel.
Yeah, well, my mummy would have been a wicked tongue.
Yeah.
She'd have fucking put me in my place regularly. And that turns me on. But that's like...
Is your fiance, she got like, can she put you in your place?
She cuts me to pieces every day.
He loves
it. I think you're all massive mummy's boys who then go for a woman who like can wound, like really wound.
Yeah, today I was cooking up a stew and she was sitting on the couch and she was just dishing out comments on my cooking. And like, the fuck was that? Why are you putting that in? You fuck. But funny. But like she's funny, so I kind of like giggle. But I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my mom.
Usually it's the voice in my head that's telling me
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah. I know, I like that.
It's funny that too, because they say, especially with comedians, they're like, you're your own worst critic. And there's self-loathing with all of us. Like, really,
really deep
awful.
set. Yeah,
my brain is awful to me. But my wife is even worse.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Like every now and then I'll be like, don't be so hard on me. So it could have been worse. And then she'll chip in and I'll be like, oh no. Yeah,
it was even
right.
more unfunny than you thought.
Why would you do that?
It's white. Like I had a really nice set yesterday, one of the sets, and it was a bit of crowd work and it went really well and blah blah blah. And basically this guy was on a stag and I called it. I got on stage. I was like, this feels like a sad stag. I was like, and I can sniff him. I was like, this is your second wedding, isn't it? And they all like burst and they're like, it is. It's his second wedding. And I was like, fucking knew it. I was like, oh, we're in Dublin. We're gonna go to the stag. It's gonna work this time, my guys. This is the one. Anyway, went in on him, this being his second wedding, and I think I even said, I was like, so less stag, more roadkill. Like this is your retelling bits. That's when you like a comic, isn't it? Like, but the point being, like, I left that room and I knew as a piece of crowd work, like it went well, but all the way I was like, oh God, what if his first wife died? Oh my God, what if she died? And now this is the second one, and he's taken him ages to fall in love again, and now he's on a stag with his friends, and I've just like, it's just this like, how to make yourself how to make a good thing turn festering and rotten. Any comic can do it like that. Like we're masters at it.
You didn't just say that on stage, though, did you?
No, I was just like, I was
die?
walking here. I was walking
Okay, I've been
here.
Hatty Preston. Bye. Mic drop.
like him being like, oh my God, you ruined his life. Oh my God, why did you do this? Why are you like that? Why can't you be nicer? Like, it's brutal.
I love how you sensed that it was a sad stag.
I sense a sad
What was
man,
the sad
David.
part? What was the...
You know when men are G'ing themselves up? You know when a group of men, you know they're like shitheads that you see going to Malaga, and they're like fucking G'd, like they're just like, we're going on holiday. And then it's the men who are like, it's gonna be great, mate. Like they're G'ing themselves up, and you're like, like this is a sad stag.
Yeah.
What an eye for a stag. Jesus,
know.
that's a... There's a weird thing about crowd work in Ireland is Ireland's quite a small country. And like you spend time crowd working, ripping people in the audience, whatever. And then you go to a party 2 weeks later and like 3 people from the audience are like, you fucking prick. You fucking... What did you say about my girlfriend that night? Like, I gotta go to the... I'm leaving the party.
God.
I'm leaving the party.
I think that's ever happened. That is terrifying, actually.
Yeah, it is and you can't stop doing crowd work and ripping people, you know?
No.
So it's just like an inevitable thing that will happen again.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet those people in everyday life. And they're either going to have taken it really well or they're going to be like, you fucking...
I've been waiting for you. Yeah.
We had one act on a while back. I don't know if we mentioned this on the podcast before. That McSavage got those messages off... He ripped someone in the front row. And he didn't even. He was really nice, actually.
He was nice
because he can go in.
He can
absolutely
You could
go
tell
in,
she was sort of every time he looked over at her, she was sort of looking at the ground. So she was like,
she was shy.
Not up for it. She was shy. And and he was like, oh no, I won't talk to you. And every time he was like, don't worry, I won't talk about it. He did keep telling her that he's not going to talk to her, and he didn't, but he was talking about her.
Yeah,
to everyone.
Yeah. He made it funny by consistently calling her shyness out. But then the next day, the boyfriend DM'd him like close to death threats on Instagram. Like, what did he say?
Death threats?
It was death threats, yeah. So if I ever see you again, how dare you talk to my partner like that? If I ever see you again, I will flatten you. I will destroy you. Like shit like that. And you're like, whoa. He probably will see him again.
He'll see him again.
They're both from Dublin.
It's a small place.
There's a comic, and I forget who it is, who has a bit about this. And he's like, you know we all turn up to make you laugh. Like, that's the thing. Like, from whatever that stems from. Childhood. Is like... What our intentions are, as far as intentions go, like pretty good. That's pretty nice intention. I want to turn up and make you laugh. The idea that results in your death. like, what you've done here is now your destruction. People are fucking nuts.
Imagine that.
Death by entertainment.
Yeah. God, you fuck.
He tried to make them laugh. Instead, he wanted to kill him back.
That seems like a fair trade.
You'd sooner expect a death threat from someone who isn't getting laughs.
Absolutely.
For someone who is like, an open micer dying and ruining everyone's night.
He should get a death threat.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I've had gigs where it's like, I deserve a death threat. Like, people have paid babysitters. Yeah. Like, I should be billed for the babysitter. 100%.
Do you know what infuriates people? Because if someone's not getting laughs, they don't feel threatened. If everyone else is laughing, they feel humiliated.
I know.
So that must have been what he was. This guy who sent McSavage death threats must have been reeling, because at the time he left. We said we always say goodbye to everyone as they leave. They seemed. They seemed grand. They were smiling. Oh, thanks a lot when they left.
Yeah, and the guy, he was from New Zealand, into whitewater rafting, Sahara Desert, one of those types.
Fucking knew it. It's always the quiet ones. Yeah. Always the quiet ones. He probably bought that homeless person and paid them to do that.
Yeah. Probably did. And it's like, you act as well.
When they let me,
Were you in the Royals?
I was in the Royals.
How was that?
It was great. I know, it's okay. I made 5-6 of the best mates in my whole life on that show. So I will never regret that show. It was a great time. We had... Honestly, it was the greatest time of my life filming that show. We had such a laugh. The show, don't watch if you haven't seen it, isn't great. And the experiences on set by a lot of the actors weren't brilliant. That our showrunner wasn't a good guy. And so he got caught up in the Me Too stuff.
Showrunner?
So in America, a showrunner is... it's a bit like the word for like CEO. So he wrote it, directed... pilot and finale, and oversees. So showrunner's like overseer of the whole thing. So as much as he didn't direct every single episode,
like the foreman,
creator.
Yeah, an auteur. He but not a good guy. So it was
Me Too'd.
Got Me Too'd pretty hard. And
was it anything on the set of the Royals?
Yeah, a lot on the set.
During the Royals?
Yeah. And he'd been on One Tree Hill before, so
was he playing Prince Andrew in it?
No, but that would have been method, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't
like,
it?
Fucking,
He's just getting into the
yeah.
character.
We'd all be like,
Yeah, how much can you use method acting as
An
legal?
excuse?
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Daniel Day-Lewis's wife that, I reckon.
Yeah.
I've always thought that. I mean, the guy's a gifted actor, but like, I've always thought the real shift here is his fucking wife.
Done
Like,
right.
who every couple of years comes home and he's like, I'm a butcher. And she's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? Like, she just sat there trying to like keep the house nice, raise the kids, get on with her shit. And then he comes back, he's like, and now I'm going to make some oil. And she's like, oh, God. I just married a nice guy called Daniel from Bristol. What the fuck? Like,
I had to have sex with Abraham Lincoln.
I always think that. I'm like, we all sit here being like, what an amazing actor guy. Like this poor bitch sitting somewhere home just trying to do the shop. And she's having to ask Abraham fucking Lincoln which hummus he wants. Like, I just...
Imagine them having sex like 3 score.
Yeah.
Slaves. And she's popping up and
So
down.
good. When she's like doing the ironing and he like brings home like a linen thing and a top hat. And she's like, could you fucking not? Like, do your own.
What haircut have you got now?
I know.
I heard that his wife, for the character that he did in The Boxer,
Yeah.
she said she was absolutely in love with that character, that she loved that person that he became and came home as. He's a boxer. He's like this really noble guy. And
When did he make that?
That would have been like either, I think, early 90s.
So yeah. So when he was
Peak
fit
physique as well. And he went like proper into boxing training twice a day, every day. Did tournaments, won a few matches.
Yeah.
Like proper fucking,
Wow.
yeah.
So he went from
You'd be
my
livid.
left foot.
To the
Yeah.
fucking
I want to go.
exactly like
I think that was the next movie.
that's
as well.
out. I mean, that's outrageous. Like that's so unfair. I always feel for people who get married and then one of them puts on weight. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, no, that wasn't what they bought. That wasn't what they bought. That's not a same thing. Like you give her the boxer, you give her a professional boxer, and then the next thing you're like mining for oil. And you're like, no, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great? Daniel Day's wife should choose his roles.
She should.
For
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next 2 years, I want to go out
Yeah.
with a ripped boxer. Make it
Yeah.
happen.
Do you have any firefighter movies in the pipeline? Like, is there
We're just like, man, this house needs to be redone. Can you be like a painter decorator in your next film?
Smart. See, I think that woman deserves an Oscar. Honestly, I do. What she's putting in, she should get one of those like lifetime achievement awards. You know, because that is without her, he's homeless. Surely, like, what's you know.
So, what happened on the Royals?
Oh, the Royals. Yeah, he got me too. That was all done. I left after series 1. I loved my part very much. I met one of my best mates in the world, Lydia Rose Bewley, on that, and we played sisters, and that was really, really excellent. I mean, you know this doing comedy. Like, this was before I ever did stand-up. But when you meet someone who comedically you just get, like, you're just on the same page, you just, or whatever one does, the other one knew it was coming, and it's like sport played well. Do you know what I mean? When you just know how the other player's working. And Lydia and I, from our like chemistry test, it was just like, and she's a beautiful comedy actress and a beautiful gal. But we had a lovely time. But they came back after series 1. And the show was a trash fire. I mean, it was awful. But they came back after series 1. I'd probably have gone back because we had such a good time on it. But they came up with this heinous first episode with money that was, I mean, offensive. And I listened, she's a proud bitch. And I was like, nah, you just shove it. Like,
You didn't take it?
no. I turned it down.
That is a level of integrity that
It is.
You're a comedian. I'm going to be broke forever doing this.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally, so we'd been in LA promoting it. All the like, as is brutal with this kind of thing. We're in LA promoting it while they're trying to get you signed up for the second series. First series comes out, it was not good. And then as they're still trying to get you roped in for the second series, which was due to start filming in 3 months, I was like, I can't do it. It feels really, really bad. And my test for it was, my thing in my head was, and because he was such a bad bloke, I was like, so even if I take this horrendous money, I'm making this guy money. Like, I'm making this man money. And I was like, I just remember sitting there being like, if I had a daughter and she was in this position, I know exactly what I'd tell her to do. And if I don't do this now, it means one day, if my daughter's ever in that position, I have no right to tell her. Like, I'd have no right to be like, hold your ground, hold your integrity, put your name is all you have.
That's a very strong ethical standpoint to try and judge situations.
On what I tell my daughter to do.
Yeah, what would I tell my daughter to do in this situation?
It's got me out of a lot of situations, actually, like a lot of really bad either like relationships or professional situations where this thing comes in and I go, well, what would you tell your daughter to do?
It's definitely better to ask yourself, what would I tell my daughter to do than what would I tell my son to do?
Yeah. Big
that money, dude.
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Get off the couch. Get out there, get a job.
Show me your peacock feathers, baby. Like,
Peacock it. Get off the PlayStation and go get series 2.
Yeah, no, but I did. It was always my daughter, and she's one day I'm going to have a daughter, and I'm going to be like,
can
you.
I apply that ethical question to myself? Like, what would I tell my daughter to do, Eddie, in this situation?
Maybe. I reckon you could, because I think we afford our children a lot more generosity than we afford ourselves. And I'm sure you feel like that. Like the things you put up with. If someone asked, like, would you be all right with your kid putting up with? You'd be like, I will fucking murder. Like, I would murder a bitch before I let them speak to a child of mine like that. But we sit there going, okay, unpaid 20, I'd love to. Do you know what I mean? So I think that got me out of that. But I was waitressing. I then waitressed for over a year.
Wow.
And you were watching like all your friends go to work and all this money and all the press. And there were a few. The worst part was I was waitressing for one of the other actors. So one of the other actors who was in the show, he owned a restaurant. And so I was waitressing for him. So he was running off at his restaurant. So he's running off to film and coming back and whatever. And I waitressed for the whole year. Like, I didn't get any other job. And in my head, and I was so young, I mean, compared to now, like I was, 10, 11 years ago? And in my head, I was like, but if this was an American football movie, which is obviously what I think I'm in all the time, was like, but I did the good thing. Like, I did the honorable, good, noble, integrity thing. So why am I losing still? Why am I still the loser?
Twist?
Where's
11 years is too long a plot line.
It's like the Rookie, Mark Wahlberg. Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes him a minute, but he fucking gets that thing, and you're like, yeah. And that's when you realize this entertainment industry is not fair. Like, it's not the thing you want it to be.
They're gonna have to get an older actor version of me to play the next bit, the next chapter.
Damo, it gets better. Do you know what they did? Because of my character. So she was a sister. She was one of the royals. She was a princess. So they had to have her. Like, that was what I thought my leverage was. I was like, she's one of the royals. Like, you have. So they cast a supermodel, and in the first episode of the second series, they unraveled her bandages, and
no way.
And so Princess Maribel had got a plastic surgery over the break.
Oh, wow.
And so what Twitter did, I said this on another podcast, I feel awful. What Twitter did was to distinguish between the actresses was old Maribel and hot Maribel. So all these people on Twitter were like, oh, so when they were talking about us would be like, no, that was old Maribel, not hot Maribel. Or they'd be like, but hot Maribel's doing that. And I was like, and you're 20, I was 25 or whatever. And like, you're not ready for that. Like, you're not ready. Already like as a ginger, do you know what I mean? You're like fucking battling every day to like get your self-worth out the gutter. And then Twitter, what were they called? The loyals, the fans of the royals were called the loyals. Well, they were all like, oh, no, not old Maribel, hot Maribel. And you're like,
while you're stacking
while you're
plates.
waitressing.
Yeah, you're
like,
there.
oh!
Here's your steak. Is that old Maribel?
Yeah. Hey! Old Maribel coming to the table. You're like, oh God, it was.
Your cup of tea, sir?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, can I get the autograph of hot Maribel?
Yeah.
I see you around. Get easy, drink it.
I'll get her number for you. But this is the thing that when people, this is why it's so wild when people complain about comedy. Like when you stand up, when people are like, oh, stand up. I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like stand up is a cakewalk for me. Like I love it.
I used to act, and the level of rejection is so fucking, and they never really give a fuck.
No.
Like, there's too much. They've too much to do. How could they give a fuck about every person? But it's just constant. At least with stand up, it's like, okay, you might get a gig, you might not get a gig, and you can ask again, or you can gig other places, build yourself up, and eventually you will get that club or that festival or whatever. And you can see a bit of a trajectory. And even if you don't get this festival, you're like, well, I've got another gig anyway next week. So it's not like you're rejected, but you're not rejected.
Yeah.
Whereas in acting, you don't get that part. That's it. Like you have to audition for another part next week.
Yeah.
And then maybe you'll get something 3 months down the line, or you have something lined up. But it's like the rejection and the waiting is so much more difficult. Like,
but it's out of your hands. Like even if this is what I love about stand-up is I get up every night, and even if it's a horrible gig, even if it's a small room above a pub, which I will never not do, is you're up. Like acting, there's this thing where I think by the time I started doing stand-up, I hadn't been on stage for like 2 or 3 years, and it's your favorite place in the world. Like, but you're not allowed to. Like, you're barred from it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to wait until someone else lets you, and it's just so savage that. And I think the lovely thing about stand-up is the agency. Like, you put in a bad acting, you're giving bad lines by a bad director and a bad writer, and you just gotta fucking give it beans. And like stand up, at least when I bomb, I'm like, that was on me.
Well, how did you get through that? Like, let's say on the Royals or whatever series, like a few bad lines that are just purely, let's say, exposition for the plot or whatever, and they're not really anything for the character or whatever. how did you fool yourself into? Oh, I'm going to have to believe these and give it socks.
I
Like,
have to be honest with you, Eddie. I don't. I'm incredibly difficult as an actress like that.
Yeah.
Like I found out after a play I did in London that I put the director into rehab afterwards.
No way.
Yeah. We shouldn't be laughing, but I think he checked himself in. Like I was a monster. Like not a monster. He didn't turn up. Like he let us down. The writing wasn't good enough. He was lazy, and
There you go.
with a week to go, I was like, it's this thing that happens. I think a week before press night, especially if you're on stage. You're being thrown out to the lions. Like, don't be under no illusion. Like, on stage, it's the actors who are thrown to the lions. Like, the director's in the dark, producers in the dark, schmoozing with champagne. Like, we're fucking out there with the, pencils and the pens going or whatever. Like, and I was like, you can't answer me these questions that I've had for weeks about, like, this doesn't make sense. If she says this, then how can she say that in the next scene? They were like, hey, Hattie, you're overthinking. I was like, I'm doing my job. Yeah. Do yours. And I lost it. Absolutely. Like, I mean, yeah, took the place down. And
You Daniel Dayed him.
I did. I don't think my 0 to 60 was good on a good day. And but I was like, I'm not going to just say it. Like, you asked me to say things that don't make sense. You're asking me to be a storyteller of a story that is flawed, and you can't even. So yeah, I think I put him into rehab. I'm not.
Did you ever do any ads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what'd you do?
What,
No, I only spun it because I'm in one right now that appears to be the most played commercial of all time anywhere. And I've had more DMs about this advert than any other thing I've done in my career. And I was like, oh, good. Good. This is the thing I want to be known for.
Oh, and what is it? Can you say?
Yeah, it's very.co.uk. So this clothing thing, maybe it's not over. Actually, it'd be amazing if it's not over here because it might not be a thing over here. But it's like an online clothes shop, I guess.
That is huge. I know very good. I mean, but you've
do you,
seen it.
do you have lines in the ad?
Yeah. I'm
What
the
do you do?
mother running the ad with all her children.
So you got kids in it?
Yeah, I got actually that was a punch to the cunt. Actually, that one was I turned up and they were like,
Hi, my name's Old Maribel.
You gonna need more kids?
that was it. She turned up and she was like, the mother with her children, 11 and 7. I was like, whoa. Like, just to be clear, I was like, I know I'm old enough to have children. I do. I hear it. 11? Like, I don't feel like the mother of an 11-year-old. Like, I get it if I'm coming cradling my first ever child. And I was like, oh, what a lovely mom. Like, fucking 11? Brilliant. So yeah, I had an 11-year-old and
So
a
you're gonna
7-year-old.
Benjamin Button me, right?
Yeah. So there's a story about how she was like child trafficked into a life of
Very,
she
very
obviously,
childtraffic.co.uk.
this was obviously non-consensual, right? Like, it's like, this, what happened? I went to the audition and be like, oh my God, what happened to her?
Oh my God, is he still around? Is he in jail?
Can we tell her story?
It was pre-abortion Ireland, okay? It was before the referendum.
I was like, God, Jesus. But,
So you had to act with the 2 kids for the scenes?
yeah, who were great,
Yeah.
who were brilliant. Like kids, yeah, they're great. And they're not always, but these 2 were brilliant. Child actors, but these 2 were beautiful. They really were.
And you smashed out those lines?
Yeah, as much as you can on a commercial. I think it's.
Did they go into rehab?
I don't know. I think I kept my cool on that one. But have you done commercials?
I did one proper commercial, an ad for Skoda, and I remember doing the audition, and it was just such a. It didn't have lines, but I was putting my dogs into the back of this lovely hatchback Skoda. And I was with my girlfriend. So she didn't exist. The dogs didn't exist. So I had to act it out, mime it. So I had to mime opening a car that didn't exist, then get my dogs into it, and then like smile at my girlfriend, and then like get into the car. And then
And there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
It
so
is hideous what they ask you to do in these rooms.
and then I did it, and I was like, oh, like go on in, like know. And I was like. And then whatever. and then the director, no, it was the casting agent, said, yeah, do it again, but a lot happier, Eddie. You just got a new car. You're happy. I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. I was in my head, I was like, oh, an audition for an ad. All right. And then I did it happier. I was like, wow. In my head, I was like, I love this car. Oh, look at that.
I love these dogs.
Go on in. And then and then she said, she was like, okay, Eddie, look, we'll do it one more time. But look, with ads, because I had auditioned for her before, and she's like, look, Eddie, just for ads, and you can apply this to all your auditions for ads. You're 10 times happier than you've ever been in your life. Like, this is the happiest moment of your existence right now. And just imagine that for every ad you do. So I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
I just went insane. I was like, I was like the biggest smile. My eyes were beaming.
Crackhead.
Like, crackhead.
Getting into a car.
Just had an orgasm and a fucking load of crack. And I'm like, and I got given a car. I was like, go on in, doggies. And I winked at my girlfriend for no reason, who doesn't exist. And then they were like, brilliant. Call next day. Yeah, you got that part. And I was like, am I going to do that for the actual ad?
That's the thing. That's the moment you're like, I have to do it again. Like, for people to see.
A nut job in a Skoda. Like, I'm just
I don't
going
want
to.
anyone seeing that.
I calmed it down for the ad.
It is.
Yeah.
I picture you know Joaquin Phoenix doing the Joker when he's like pulling the side of his mouth open and crying, making a huge smile. I
It's
imagine you
the
just
perfect
before the
analogy.
Skoda
It's like-
ad, you're like, more happy, more teeth.
It's literally that. She actually, when I had a little while ago in an audition, in a commercial casting. I cannot tell you how awful they are. And I was doing it, and it was about this stressed person. I was doing it. She goes, and she gave me notes, and I was like, okay, fine, do it again. Started going again, and she stopped. She goes, okay, sorry, can I stop you? It's just really unpleasant to watch. I was like, no, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it's very unpleasant to do. So this checks out. But it is like...
Yeah, you have to really numb yourself emotionally in those environments. Like, you can't...
But do you not think the people who go in and nail these commercial auditions, like who go in first time and you're like... they're psychopaths. Like, you shouldn't want them on your set. Like, if you'd gone in first time and acted like, gah, about getting into a Skoda dog, I'd have been like, section him. Like, this isn't, he's not well.
Yeah. And ad acting is not acting.
No, sir.
It's not real acting. It's like...
It's not real.
Be nuts, basically. You know, it's not... Yeah.
But what annoys me about ads is what they want people to do when they see the ad is as mental as them trying to get you. They want people to see the ad and go, oh my God, I want that right now, and get their phone out or run to the shop and buy it.
Yeah.
Like, no one does it. Like,
No.
what they're trying to do won't exist.
But then I think what's terrifying is I think it does.
Yeah.
Like, these advertising people, like, they're scientists as much as they're artists. I'd argue more so. And like, they're like, this is what our customer, like, but they like this. Like, even with the very stuff, like going through all the dresses that they wanted me to wear, and like, a couple of them they brought out, and I was like, gah! Oh, God, no, please. I was like, what is she doing, karaoke in Sunderland? Like, no, like, fuck, I'd wear that. I was like, I'll be dead before you put me in that dress. Anyway, and they're like,
what kind of clothes do Very sell?
there's some nice ones in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's some lovely ones in there, and like, but there were just a couple.
Like, what,
which
do they have a particular market?
well, I think they do.
Yeah.
I don't know I didn't know it, but so they were saying stuff, and I was like, so they were like, oh, I liked the ones I was in the end, but like, they're like, actually, the client really liked this, and actually, this is very good for our target. This is very good for our sort of buyers. And I was like, then get better buyers. What are we doing? Like, what do you mean? You're gonna put me in this on a camera? like, but they knew something
and you have a
I didn't know.
21-year-old son.
Yeah, like
You're wearing this horrible dress.
poor human traffic ginger at the center of your, just like lugging like
Very
adult
Dakota UK.
children. Yeah,
We provide clothes for anyone.
we gave her this dress after the halfway house. when
5% of all your Very purchases go to sex
go to
trafficked
battered children like this. Like,
Go to 12-year-old mothers.
yeah. Just like Very knocked us through tears. Like, oh, thank God for Very. Like it was a lesson. I do think there's something we don't know. It's why we're
they've
not in
done all
advertising.
their
They've
research.
done all their
Focus
research.
groups,
Yeah.
statistics, all that shit. They
I
know
know.
exactly what they're looking for. But also, it's not just a thing, I think, where they're like, oh, they're going to see the ad and they're going to go, oh, I got to get that thing. It's just associative. They're just planting little thoughts in your head, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a subconscious little thing. Then when you are going to buy clothes or food or whatever it is, those thoughts will be there and they won't know why they're there. But the ad they've seen 3 times
Yeah.
and they've seen that, oh, that mum
Yeah.
who has the 11-year-old and she's so happy. And they're not going to think of that ad, but then they're going to, what was that Very Dakota UK?
Yeah.
Wasn't Maribel? Was she in
It
that?
wasn't old man in that.
Yeah, it is product placement in your brain.
Yeah,
Totally that.
Subconscious, subconscious planting all the time. Yeah.
It is. It's
It's
like the
fun 'cause-
meerkat. Like, it's the only one I know. Like, it's the only comparison site I know.
And it's got nothing to do with. And why is he Russian?
Why is a meerkat Russian?
Is he still Russian?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Because that might be a bit.
That's interesting. Maybe they're giving him Ukrainian look now.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
But
I'm
tweaked it.
Bulgarian meerkat.
they've just gone
Don't
Swiss.
compare. Yeah.
it's comparethemeerkat.com.
Please do not compare.
We got it wrong. Like, who knew Russia wasn't always going to be popular? Isn't this wild? Like,
Don't compare anything we do.
compare other meerkats. But it's genius. Like, they must have been on like mountains of cocaine when someone came in with the meerkat thing, and like. Here we are.
Yeah, what
Some
a win.
ads, like when an ad is great, it is great. Like, do you remember the gorilla playing drums? That
This
that's
is
what-
insane.
that's
This
the
came up in a gig I did the other day. Yeah, the Phil Collins, the
yeah,
gorilla.
there's just a gorilla
Unbelievable.
close up and it pans out. Do you know what? It was for I think Cadbury.
Cadbury's,
So that worked. But that could have been for anything. I reckon whoever had that idea probably went around. It could have been for Skoda.
Yeah.
Could have been for a berry. You know what I mean?
Lost
Could
your
have
job.
been,
Yeah.
could have been for anything. And then went if a purple background. There you go. Cadbury.
Yeah.
It was.
It's great.
Genius. And I mean, still like the Peter Kay, John Smith.
John Smith.
Yeah, when he's that amazing one when he's it's sort of like every man in everyday situations. Like, there's that one where he's like his wife's hoovering, and she's like, right, if you could sleep with anyone in the world, who would it be? And he's like, I'm not telling you. She goes, no, go on. You got a free pass. You can sleep with anyone in the world. I know mine be George Clooney. That'd be mine. Who would yours be? He goes, no, I'm not going to tell you. She goes, oh, go on. Don't be such a spoil sport. Who'd it be? He goes, no. She goes, oh, come on. He goes, fine. Claire from work. And it's just like John Smith, and you're like, yeah,
That's like a sketch from a sketch show.
So good. And all of his like, there was that one with like the diving competition and all these like svelte boys being like, and then last week he's like, and now John Smith with the running bomb, and it's just Peter Kay like legging out on a springboard and bombing down, and you're like, yes, those are people who know their audience, know their market, and got the right man for the job. Like, it's just so good.
Made it fun.
Yeah, when your adverts go right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't, it's cringe.
They'd all
God.
save so much money, these huge marketing companies, if they just got a few comics into a room and be like, spitball ideas,
Yeah.
guys, just a few 30-second gags. That's all you got. You got to get a gag in for 30 seconds with John Smith in it. Just do it. They'd get way more ideas.
But do you think I think we all go so like roasty so quickly. Do you know what I mean? I think all like it worked for John Smith, but we would be sat there just like completely taking the piss out
Yeah,
of
if
all
it was
these brands.
Dyson
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hoovers and someone gets their hair stuck
well,
in their
yeah,
whole
or more
something.
likely like some male comments like, get your dick out and put it in, and then it's like an amazing orgasm, and everyone's like, that's exactly perfect.
Why
Thank
are so
you.
many penises in ads?
Yeah.
That's right.
So many penises.
Okay, take it all back.
Yeah.
Take it all back. So how long have you been doing stand-up then?
5 years. It'll be 5 years next month. Yeah.
And you still act at all?
Yes, when
Well, you've
they
got
ask me to. Yeah.
Okay, great.
But I think it's in a happier place now because of stand up. Acting isn't this thing where all my like self-worth and panic and validation is wrapped up in. It's like when that comes up, I love it and I'm really grateful and I really enjoy it, but it's not this like, when will they let me do it again? Because I just sort of, you kind of get your fix, don't you, from stand up?
Yeah.
Immediate fix.
Immediate fix. Yeah.
You have on stage, you have the gait of a trained actor. In a good way, in the best
okay,
sense.
but do you actually mean that? Because I hate it when you watch actors flip into stand up.
No.
I
We
wouldn't
didn't know because we were like, oh, well,
Yeah.
what else does Hattie do? And we Googled you.
Sweet.
And then
I like
we were
that.
like, oh,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
been in the Royals, she's been in this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. That's old Maribel. How did we not know?
And then, now I remember it.
Oh, the one before the bandages. Yeah.
Bandage man.
Yeah. That's
but
good.
it's-
And then I was
because
like, now that you say it, like on stage, it's a kind of like it's like an owning the room in a
Oh,
very
that's
like
good.
yeah.
I always felt when I started, I knew, because I started out in the States, and I knew I was coming at stand-up backwards, where I used to watch all my peers, like the people I came up with, being so good at joke writing, and they'd so studied it, they were so smart and funny, and like, but it was on stage that you were like, hello, like, I
Yeah.
always knew I was coming at it backwards. I was like, on stage is my happiest place on earth. Like, I'm so happy. I love it there. It's never a nervous thing. I just had to work out stand-up and what I was doing and how I was going to tell it and the writing side of it. So I always think I came at it backwards, and I've had to like learn the wrong way around.
Yeah, I had the same
Yeah, I bet.
trajectory.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I find, with learning about comedy writing and jokes and all that, it's so stimulating. Like you go home after a set, that bit didn't go that well, but this part of it did. And you're like, rewrite it, construct
Yeah.
it, do this, do that. And you're like, you're so excited. And you're not that worried about, you know,
Yeah.
the performance like that, they'll be all right. You know, don't think
Yeah.
about that. And then
Yeah.
you see these poor fucking people on stage, best comedy ever, and they're just like,
Yeah,
the
the-
jokes are all lost.
Yeah, and you're like, but these are so good and smart, and it is. Do you think it's a weird thing? And I don't think I'm there yet by any stretch of the imagination. But do you know, there's a lovely moment where you can, for whatever reason, some jokes that aren't working, suddenly you get it right and you can hear it. Like you can hear why, and you can't explain it, but you'll suddenly be like, that was it. Like there's like a rhythm to it, almost like a song where you go, that was it, and I don't know why. Like there's this one joke I've just cracked, and it always lands, and I'm not even that sure about it. You know, when you're like, I don't think but I think there's a rhythm to it, and that's a nice feeling, is when you feel like you can start hearing it when you're on stage. You'd be like,
do you hear it because of the reaction as well?
No, I
Is
can
that
hear
a
it.
clue,
I can
or
hear the
already?
rollover. I can hear the like, digga, pum pum, poof. Like it's like a coda. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know how I'd write that down. Do you know what I mean?
The
I don't know.
musicality of it.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd write down the musicality.
That's
of
the
it.
next level of comedy writing is a musical notation above each syllable.
I know. Yeah. Go light, staccato, and boom. Like, but I don't know what it is.
That was a
yet.
crotchet. Fucking hell, slow down on the crotchet.
It's a minute break. Like, but I think the great comics, the guys who've been going for years, they know exactly. It's like great jazz musicians, like they know exactly what they're doing. As much as it looks like like it's not a fucking note wrong.
Every half
Like,
a second counts.
yeah, exactly that. And I think that's what's cool about it.
Yeah, I find with me, like I'll have the concept and I think I'll know how it goes.
Yeah.
But then for me with the audience, it's like a game of hot or colder.
Yeah.
With their laughs.
Yeah.
Like I'll be doing it and then they laugh and I'm like, it's like them going more this way and you go, and then you follow that. And then it starts getting colder and you go, oh no, back this way. And they start laughing again. And then you go, yeah, cool. And then you follow that. And then you go, now I'm nearly where I want to be.
I think
and then you drop the final idea or the punch. Because, but then they help you lead you there, like a collective consciousness.
Timing, like people talk about, comedic timing, it's so ephemeral. I think a lot of it is actually you watching the audience. It's your eyes are on them, and you're kind of seeing what they're perceiving.
Yeah.
You know, like you see how on board are they, but also how close to the punchline are they, or have you driven them off in this direction? You know, like you're trying to get them like in certain places, and then you twist it on them. But you have to really watch them, and then the timing will be so much better. You know, it's when people aren't like they're kind of in themselves, and there's no proper timing. They don't have a relationship with the audience properly.
I know that's a bad set. Like for me, if I'm tired, I know I'm talking at them, not to them. There's a thing where like I'm saying all the same things and in my head all the same way, but I'm like, you've left. You're not. It's like I'm talking at them like, and it's like, no shit, this is boring. Like they know, and they don't know they know, but they fucking know. They're like, something isn't. She's not here like this, and it's
you have to, even though you know all the bits or the jokes, you have to still be reacting to the audience in the moment. You still have to be watching them, feeling them, and reacting. And then allowing that to create it.
Yeah,
you know?
it is a duologue, not a monologue.
It is.
God,
That's
we're
cool.
fucking
Oh,
wank. Hey, clip it.
Very well.
But it is. I think that is the wankiest thing I've ever said in my whole life. Clip it. It's like, I think stand-up is a bit like having sex with a woman. Like, follow the noise. Do you know what I mean? Like, follow the noise. Like, they signpost it. Like, just go with the noise.
That would be so much more convenient if, like, the direction of an orgasm was laughter.
Yeah. You guys
now I know I'm doing right.
You male comics would be better at it for sure. The sex. How did you get it? But it is. It's like,
They're snoring very loud.
Like, follow the noise. Follow it. Like, it's just, there's a signpost. You're just not looking for it.
And are you doing any shows coming up you want to plug?
I have, so I'm here tonight, which is useless because the podcast is coming out. And then if anyone's in London, then I've got work in progress in Top Secret on April 26th. Like, and that's quite exciting. And then I'm actually moving up to Liverpool in the summer.
No
so
way.
leaving London. Yeah, I'm really excited.
I've got a few mates up there because
I know the comics up there and I really like them, but I love it up there. I love like Liverpool, Manchester. I feel like I'm more playful up there. I think the comics are writing with teeth. I think there's a like ruggedness to it that is so much more exciting to me. Like I think I'll be better for it, just not on a personal, like creative level. But so I'm really excited. Yeah.
Nice.
There is something about, I love going like to places like Dublin, places like Liverpool, Glasgow, same thing. I love going out when the audience is genuinely as funny as you. Like these are towns that are funny. Like these cities are full of funny, naturally funny people. Like you've got to bring it. Like you've got to bring a game because their friends are funnier than you. So I love that. I think you're better for it.
Yeah. They're not going to allow you a load of time and space to feel something out. They're like, they'll be fucking in it.
It's like in London, they're gonna clap, and you're like, I'm really empowered, independent thing. What that? Like, shut up. Like, I don't want. Yeah, there's something about those other cities that I think are
Working
better dates in Liverpool.
Let me tell you, better dates.
Yeah,
They absolutely, they're brave.
Less Kiwis.
Yeah, less Kiwis, braver boys, more delusional. Absolutely my type, I think. Yeah.
Don't be ghosted.
Yeah.
Is Hinge the one? Have you done the other apps? Have you done it?
No.
Do you log when you? Because
I don't do them anymore.
Around, do
Yeah.
you dip into the apps when you're traveling around?
No,
or is there
I don't.
waste of time?
It's a complete waste of time, and I don't anymore. Like, I also think like. I love chemistry. You know that moment where you get a crush on someone and you're like, like zing, zing, zing. I know myself well enough at this stage that if I've had to shop for it first, I'm already out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like being surprised, not in like a predatory sense, like, like attack, yeah. But like, there's that lovely thing where you're like, oh my god, like I've got a crush on someone, and I think that's the shit. But I do the apps. Just any excitement I ever have about like falling in love with someone and meeting someone and get like the minute I open that thing is like, do you know what I mean? And it's
manufacturing a crush.
It is manufacturing a crush. It's like design your own, and I don't want that. I've never picked one
for a lot of people, but it just depends.
I think that's sensible people. I think that's sensible people who know what they want. The thing is good. They know what works for them. Like, I've never picked sensible. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to start now. I think it's in spite of yourself that you like someone.
Yeah, what you need is a dating app.
Yeah.
With like a really twisted algorithm.
Yeah.
Like not like trying to match you.
No, exactly
match
that.
you with like, oh, this person is compatible. Like, no, match you with like just incompatible off the wall shit.
Yeah.
And then see what kind
exactly that.
Unhinged.
Unhinged. No, I think exactly that. I think it's just way more interesting.
They're all in the eyes, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you have to look at them and smile.
You do have to look at them.
Interact a bit more. I think interaction is less in person and more in the phone online.
And
I just think there's more.
That's our dating advice for the episode. Look at them. Look at them.
Just look at some girls.
Look at them. Nose to nose.
You're going to unleash like a portion of people in Dublin just be like, and all these girls be like,
Death stare.
Count to 5.
Sorry. Yeah.
Don't listen to anything I say. But
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, we have to get ready for the 6 p.m. show. Doors are going to open in 5 minutes.
Oh
God. Well, thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Hatty always. And you're Pratty Heston.
I'm oh God, yeah, I've got to be better at that as well. Pratty Heston on Instagram, and I've given up on TikTok, so it's a hellhole. But yeah, Pratty Heston on Instagram.
You're not a communist? Why was that? Yeah.
No, so that's my bit.
Huge thanks again to Re-Raw Beer.
Oh man, let's crack one open.
We
Let's
love
crack
Re-Raw
open.
Beer.
Was it April 26th you said, top secret?
Yes, April 26th.
Oh, check it out.
Sound
God,
effect.
yes.
Oh, all right. Look at that froth in the eye. Beautiful.
Brave
Delish.
myself with some Re-Raw.
Like champagne for comedians. Thanks,
Chuck
pal.
that in your bag for after the gig.
I will chuck it in the bag.
Tasty Irish lager from
Light
Wicklow.
and fresh. They're two things I love.
4.5%, man. It's going to be a good gig tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good gig.
It's going to be hopping. Thanks so much,
love
Pratty.
Thank you,
so
Pratty.
much for Pratty.
Great.
Great.
Thanks, lads.
That was great fun.
No, that was really
Man,
fun.
my guts are sore from laughing.